Here we are at Elliston Park on a beautiful sunny day. Here visiting the Calgary Model Boat Racing Association. Got some nitro boats running right now. They got electrics down here. Let's go talk to the modelers. Kevin, tell us a little bit about the history.
Well, the club has been around since the 70s.
How many members do you got?
On average, between the Calgary and Edmonton clubs, we have about 30 members. They started off just a bunch of guys getting together, running boats, and it eventually grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Over the years, of course, you know, people's paths go other directions, but the core group, Keith Warham, Doug Sick, Brian, a bunch of other guys, are still hard at it. Our season is between, well, basically it's Alberta. So we have beginning of spring till November, you know, we cross our fingers for good weather.
As long as the water's soft.
Exactly. The propellers, fiberglass boats, what else have you, don't run so well on ice. We've been at this actual location at Elliston Park for 15 years. They've allowed us to build stands. We've got a great communication with the city, and they like us. We keep the place clean, and we're a racing club that is social. So people think that, you know, we're just here to race. No, it's a way to get out from having to do yard work, show everybody what we're doing. You know, the racing actually allows us to gauge against the rest of our boaters how well we've set our boats up. You know, again, running by yourself, you're like, man, am I fast? And then you come to race and, man, am I slow?
Hi, this is Dan, and tell us a little bit about your boats. You got a couple different ones here.
A couple of different ones. I run a couple of different classes. I've got this boat here, which is a Rigger. It's an old Jaguar. I've been running this one for the last 3 years. It's one of the quicker models that we have. And I'm running a 1988 scale Circus Circus. I've had that one for probably, I don't know, last 3 years. And they run pretty good. They're neat to watch in the water. It looks like the real thing when you get a whole class going. It's been around for a long time, and you know, when they first come out, they're all nice and shiny, and after the first few races, you bang them up and you flip them, and so they take a bit of wear and tear, but they're fun though.
So as far as the innards go, are they pretty much the same?
Yeah, the innards are pretty much the same. It's an inboard engine. It's a Pico 67. They certainly burn quite a bit of fuel. They burn a bit more fuel than the smaller engine would. Guys will run different types of engines. Generally, for this scale, for the 1A scale class, they all have to run the same engine.
So one question I know a lot of people are probably wanting to know is how fast do they go?
It depends on the boat, and it depends on the setup. A lot of boats are, like in this case, it's a wooden boat, so they tend to be a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
We've seen them go from anywhere from 40 to maybe 60 miles an hour,
wow.
Some of them. Half the fun of this sport is building the boat and being able to tinker with it and get it to go as fast as you possibly can. And that's part of the fun, other than the camaraderie with the guys that we have here. We have a good bunch of guys. We're in a nice area, and we have a lot of people that walk by with their dogs, and they stop and they look, and it's a lot of fun.
So here we are with Keith, the impressive red Miss Budweiser boats.
I like the red, and that's why I went Budweiser. This is a Phil Thomas scale boat. It's a 1/8 scale hydro, and the little one there is an Aquacraft Miss Vegas, first generation.
Now they're all fiberglass.
All fiberglass, yes, they are. Yep.
So can you open it up and show us a little bit about it?
Yep. This one here has got a CMB engine in it. The motors themselves are all water cooled. So you get the water from the back end, either off the prop or through the rudder. So this one comes through a hole in the rudder and up through the line around the head, and then it comes out the side.
So here we got some electric boats. Brian, tell us a little bit about how electrics are working in the boat hobby.
These are both electric conversions of the Aquacraft VS1 Nitro boats. They use the same bottom end, the OS bottom end, as the Nitro boat. And then there's an adapter for the electric brushless motor. It's from a Aquacraft UL1 Hydro inboard, and it has a water cooling jacket. The original boat comes with a front radio box. Both of us made waterproof compartments for the batteries. slightly different design. He rebuilt the whole front box, and I left the original front box and added sides in between. There's waterproof connections for the wires, and they're quick, yeah.
So the electronic speed controllers in here, they're liquid cooled as well.
Yes.
What kind of runtime would you be looking at?
For racing, we're probably about 4 minutes or quicker, yeah.
Well, thanks guys. Very, very interesting. Interesting to see what happens in the future with electric RC boats.
It's a new class around
Thanks.
here.
That's a look at the RC model boat racing scene here in Calgary. We'll be back next year to watch a race. See you then.
Well, that's it, folks, for this week's episode of RCTV. On next week's episode, we're going to be heading out to see the Beaten Flyers. It's a float plane event. They land on the water and some beautiful footage, thanks to our cameraman, Nick. And also, we're going to be looking at a cool indoor flying event, which we're going to feature an airship. So we'll see you next week, folks. Take care.
RCTV, your radio-controlled authority, has been brought to you in part by Eliminator RC, your one-stop hobby shop. RC Pit Stop, bringing the best of RC to BC. And John's Hobbies, Toronto's local hobby store.